2.
Hi, I'm Jacob Heilbrunn, editor of the National Interest, and my guest today is General Wallace Gregson, who is the Director of Asia-Pacific Programs at the Center for the National Interest and was also an Assistant Secretary of Defense in the Obama administration. Chip, there was a piece by Bret Stephens in the New York Times today arguing that Kim Jong-un is actually behaving quite rationally from his own perspective. A young dictator, under 30 years old, needs to demonstrate his prowess and readiness to execute his enemies immediately. He feeds his uncle to the dogs. He executes people with anti-aircraft guns. He's demonstrating that he will shrink from nothing. And now he's trying, Stephens argues, to deploy the same strategy against the United States to convince us that he's ready to do anything to secure his power. Do you agree with this analysis?
I do. I think also it begs a second question. Kim's goal is either to solidify his own power, to remain in power, or it could also include forcible reunification of the Korean Peninsula. And the second one will be harder to counter than the first one. I agree with Mr. Stephens in that he's irrational only by our system of logic and our system of rationality. And we fooled ourselves before. When the Soviet Union collapsed, we thought that would be the end of North Korea because they lost their only patron. That didn't happen. Matter of fact, we were convinced that North Korea was not going to go away when Kim Il-sung surprised us with the first hints of the nuclear program in 1993, and he did that. He let us know about it with malice aforethought. When Kim Il-sung died, we thought that his son, Kim Jong-il, would never be the measure of his father because he wore elevator shoes and he had a pompadour haircut that looked weird, and he had a market fondness for Cuban cigars and Swedish women, reportedly. He did quite well, and then we did the same thing with Kim Jong-un, that he's late 20s, early 30s, he'll never survive. Well, he survived quite well, and through the aid of the North Korean illicit network around the world, they've managed to make advances in weapon systems that we thought were far into the future.
Were you surprised by how rapidly the Korean nuclear program has proceeded in the past 6 months?
No. Personally, I was not surprised because we've underestimated them at every step along the way. In 1998, we were busy reassuring the Japanese that the Koreans were not capable of anything more than a two-stage missile. August 31st, 1998, while we were engaged in negotiations with the North Koreans, they launched the Taepodong missile over Honshu. Much to the surprise of the Japanese and much to much damage to our credibility in our knowledge of things North Korean. The very same globalization technologies that we rightly celebrate for the way they have empowered small businesses around the world, and all the things that we talk about globalization having done to enable the sharing of information, has also enabled people like the North Korean regime to run their global proliferation network for both profit and for power, and we are where we are now.
Do you see a full-scale arms race taking place in this region, Japan, South Korea, all ramping up, Japan overcoming its historical inhibition since 1945 to embrace the military?
That could very possibly be an outcome. I think that our capability as an ally of Japan and the Republic of Korea, our credibility as a powerful alliance partner, is very much under significant challenge now, has been since 1993, but the latest nuclear test really ramps up the level of the challenge. So this can't be business as usual. One of the best things that we can do is to reinforce and enhance our alliance capabilities. Some might call that an arms race, but in the face of the demonstrated threat that North Korea is exhibiting, then we really have no choice but to enhance our alliance capabilities. Some other countries may object to that, but this is not about other countries. This is about protecting the Republic of Korea and protecting our ally Japan. The Republic of Korea Defense Minister recently came out in public talking about the reintroduction of U.S. tactical nuclear weapons to the Korean Peninsula. We last pulled those weapons out in 1991 as the Cold War ended. And if South Korea wants us to, or thinks it's valuable for us to redeploy tactical nuclear weapons, then we should certainly talk about it and most likely do it. Various experts will tell you that there's no military reason to do that. This is not about a military reason. This is about a political reason, about convincing the Republic of Korea and Japan that we are good for our deterrence guarantees. Japan, for its part, is talking about breaking one of their self-imposed restrictions and actually getting a conventional counterstrike capability. They phrase it as a counterstrike capability, an independent counterstrike capability to be employed in an alliance context, and it's going to require some effort to define exactly what that means, but it does point out that Japan takes this threat from North Korea very seriously also, and for that reason we should enhance our capabilities within the U.S.-Japan alliance too, if for nothing else but to convince the Japanese that we are good at our word.
Final question. How would you grade President Trump's handling of the North Korea issue so far?
D-.
Why?
Well, threatening an ally that is under severe security threat with the termination of a long-standing Korea-U.S. free trade agreement is not a way to build confidence in the Korean...
The administration did indicate today, I think, that they've suspended that move, that that's not going to happen.
Well, that's good, and it goes partway to restoring faith among the Republic of Korea population that we are a reliable ally, but in some ways the damage has been done.
Mm-hmm. Well, General Gregson, thank you for those excellent comments. We will be back when the next Korea crisis emerges.